Well, welcome to another Winning Ways show where you're going to be kept up to date with all the news. And we've got some very special guests in the studio. We've got Devin Heffer from Hollywood Bets, and we've got Stephen Marshall, who's from Gold Circle. And they've done an amazing job, these two, in putting together a sponsorship with supposedly the enemy. You know, everyone always told me in racing, the betting companies, the casinos, they're all the enemy. Well, it's wonderful to see these guys.
Yeah, wonderful. They've done a wonderful job. Hollywood Bets has been a breath of fresh air for us, you know, and for the industry. And they keep finding innovative ways to going forward. And listening to them in the show, you'll see that they're really doing good.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing what they've got to say. But first of all, let's get into our sport. And we've got World Cup Rugby. So we've got a little clip we want to show you, which is the opening of the World Cup Rugby. New Zealand, South Africa, and we can chat over it left. There's kick-off, and they kicked it straight down the middle 5 times out of 5.
Yeah, they got their plans. They know that we've got our weaknesses. They were highlighted again. I thought we played well. And, you know, if Colby had got in when we were, I think, 14-10. We got to 17-14 after that at that stage of the game in the second half. We had a chance, but I don't know what it is. The All Blacks always seem to stay calm and find an extra gear.
Well, these 2 tries of theirs are just fantastic tries, where that guy picked up the ball, he picked it up off his bootlaces. And then you'll see, we certainly were never out the game, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. People are talking about a final.
Missed tackle. They send a lock in, and they send a lock in.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Missed tackles, actually, if you looked at it, the 2 breaks through the inside centres were both missed tackles as well.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. And I think that's our weakness, is our centres.
Yeah, watch this now, James.
Yeah.
Boom. Missed tackle.
Yeah.
I think it was the lock who missed his tackle.
Yeah.
There goes Barrett.
Barrett straight down through the middle.
Yeah.
And for a lock to score at the Rugby World Cup is unbelievable. And then we got our tries, which were both pretty good tries too. I thought that they played extremely well. Faf de Klerk.
Yeah, this was batter and bash, and beautifully read by Pieter-Steph du Toit.
Yeah,
no one's watching
amazing
him.
How he went through.
Yeah, beautiful. He's a very good player.
Channel 1.
I don't know if he knows that between the posts is the easiest. He goes right to the white post.
He got injured towards the end, which I'm not sure is
very
a
good
thing, you know.
Yeah.
And this was a fabulous prop.
I think now we came 17-13 or something like that. We were suddenly back in it. But
what do you think of the ref?
Nothing wrong with them. I don't blame refs unless they're really woeful.
Okay.
So no, I don't think they'll probably get this game out of the way now, opening day or second day, and it'll help us. We'll meet again. I think it'll with a bit of luck.
I have a question. If you look at the left bosom of the Springboks, we now see an emblem which is a protea. Why is this? Because we are Springboks.
What are the cricket team called?
They're called Proteas, but they've always been called Proteas. They were never called Springboks. They were always called something else.
Yeah.
They were called South Africa. The rugby team has always been Springboks. I played polo for the Springboks. I want to wear a Springbok on my left bosom. Let's have a look at a few pictures, and we go back to the 2 World Cups that we won. Let's get them up now and see.
1995.
Okay, that's Bobby Skinscat. That's 2007. Bobby Skinscat. Look, that's a Springbok. Okay, no doubt about it. Let's go back to 1995 and see what we wore in 1995.
Springboks.
We wore Springboks. That's what we wear.
Here come the Proteas.
Well, let's play for our country, and we're a Bok. Okay. Today we got a Protea. I think it's wrong, and I think we've got to move on from that. We've got a couple of Grand Prix that were run. There was
interesting soccer clips too.
Well, yeah, we're going to go and have a look. Actually, let's talk about soccer.
Yeah.
Okay. Your team, what happened?
No, they're not good enough. We haven't went away from home since January. The knives are out, you know, for the manager who can't accept this. But I think...
Did he buy enough?
Yeah, nothing wrong with the purchases. He did better without the purchases last year. He got to the final. But I think Man United got into the same boat. Yeah. Solskjaer puts himself under pressure. Well, I've got a little doubt. I love VAR. Let me say from the outset, Jim, it's the best thing that can happen. Takes away any grey areas. But we will show a clip of how VAR cost us. And I want to see how they will look at certain
Let's
aspects.
get these clips up, and see
Yeah.
what we've got.
No,
Well,
this-
the first one is Kane. Talk us through this one.
Oh, brilliant. He gets bumped, he's off balance, he gets shot. A real striker's finish, a great player. You know, he scored all those goals for England. He keeps scoring for a team that's struggling. And look at this. He's going down and he gets the boot in, Posh, Schmeichel. This is really good, a back pass.
This
from
is a
Song.
man who wants to score a goal.
He
He,
wants to
doesn't
win,
care
yeah.
about
That's
VAR
right.
or whether he's going to get a penalty or not. He wants to score the goal.
That's
and
right.
I think this is one of the best goals I've ever seen
Jeez, fantastic.
of a man he's intent on scoring.
Yeah.
And he's a fabulous player.
Fabulous player,
He's in
really.
my fantasy league. I'll have him before anyone else is. Your manager under a bit of pressure.
It's 6 years now, James. He's been there. You know,
6 years.
We've improved most years, but this year we see if they can improve again. Otherwise, the Knives will be out. We can't not win. We can't win away from home. 2 years ago, we couldn't lose a game away from home.
Yeah, but
Putting
you
us
were at a
on-
different stadium then. Okay.
Yeah, now here's the interesting thing. This is Song, and the score's 1-0, and they're checking the VAR. Now, if you have a look, they're saying that, is it his shoulder?
Yeah.
His shoulder.
The red line, the red
Yes.
dotted line.
Now, I want to put something into perspective. The red dotted line is the most over. So they call it by the letter of the law. Now, I want to ask you a question. See number 6, who's defending. If he was pointed his arm back towards his keeper and said, watch out for Harry Kane. Now, all he's doing is sticking his hand out. Song's onside.
Yeah.
Because part of his body is now... So if you're signaling with your hand, you're putting players on.
Yeah.
So it's
What
contentious.
interests me about this, okay, is that if you look at the guy number 6's elbow,
Yes.
his elbow is the furthest part away from his body. Now, if you run that line up to his elbow, Song might be onside.
Might be onside. It's very tight. And
So what is it? So what part of your body? I thought-
They're calling Song's part of the body, and they took a long time, 3 minutes. They took I am a Spurs supporter, so I'm not going to comment. But I just say when they
I'd
put
like
their
to
hands
know how
up,
you went with your television set.
no, fine, absolutely
Okay, is it
fine.
still
Because
intact?
we were leading then. We were leading, and he stuck his hand out. If he'd have stuck his hand out, immediately Song's onside. But have you noticed whenever a ref says no penalty, VAR doesn't change it.
Yeah.
They look at it and they say, no, no. And there have been cases where Kane was pulled down. There were 1 or 2 cases that people, the pundits afterwards, said, oh, that's got to be a goal. So I think it's still in its infancy, VAR, and I really appreciate it. But you've got to have the guys sitting in the studios. They're ex-refs. Their mates are ref in the game. You've got to make that call. You've got to say, I don't agree with you, ref. That's a penalty.
Best
Or-
advertising I've ever seen for VAR.
yeah. Yeah,
Pippa
VAR.
Mickelbro must be thrilled.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. MotoGP Grand Prix. Vettel won the Grand Prix, but this is the big news of the weekend. You know who that is? That's our man Brad Binder.
Okay.
Winning the motorcycle GP2 race at Aragon. And he was brilliant. Went to the front, ended up winning.
Would he race against the Marky Marquez? I don't know racing.
He raced against Marky Marquez's brother, okay?
Oh.
Who's the GP2 champion at the moment. Now that was Brad Binder, our very own South African, and he has got a ride next year with KTM, which is his team, KTM Red Bull. I got
In
a very
league? In what league?
GP1 and MotoGP against Mark Marquez. He'll be riding next
So
year.
he's a very good rider.
He's a very good rider. He won the GP3 championship in 2016. And I hope I'm getting this all right because I've got a very big critic sitting in Ashburton who's now moved to Summerveld. His name's Koersen, do you know?
Yeah, the
Dutchman.
golfer.
Yeah. I'll tell you, he never stops on that phone to me. He says, I don't know what I'm talking about GP.
He can't be the only one
He
who says
knows
that.
everything.
But let's hope he's got it right.
So if we need anything, listen, if you need to say anything, Louis, we're listening to what you've got to say. GP, Vettel won, the Ferrari's dominant at
After
Singapore.
a long break.
It was a good race, that race in Singapore.
After a long break, he'd won.
Yeah, it was
I got told, I know nothing about motorsports, but I happened to be sitting at the table yesterday, and one of the guys said, they want to bring out a new rule. The guy who's fastest in the what do you call them, the laps before, the day before you go, the guy that fastest
Qualifying.
the qualifiers goes in pole, number 1. And then second fastest goes number 2. They want to make the fastest go last to make it a better race. And so who's going to go faster than Barrier Trials did, or the left? How can they even suggest this? They want to pass it. Do you imagine you say, listen, go easy, Hamilton, because if you go fast, you're starting last. You'll have the handbrake up.
It'll be like some of those jockeys in Barrier Trials.
It'll be the same thing.
Which we'll be seeing later. But the other big news from South African sport, Kevin Lerena retained his title. Look what he looks like, our boy.
The work rider.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, he's got such a good attitude.
Such a body.
He does such a lot of community work. He's just great for...
Good family.
Yeah,
good
great
family.
It's a great family.
Great family. Great family. Steeped in racing and now boxing.
Yeah, well, look at that guy. Rode a work riders race, won at Clarewood on a work riders race. Now the world WBO champion and retained his title. I think it's his 5th title defense, and he gave this guy a proper hiding.
Does these guys make fair money?
Yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah, because you're world champion. He's the best.
Yeah, he's the best around. We're going to have a look, talking about barrier trials, we're going to have a look at a barrier trial. We picked out a barrier trial to have a watch of. This was Wednesday at Greyville. Let's go and pick him up at the start. You'll see Calvary absolutely doddled us. This is a horse that they can't get shoes on. Very interesting horse. Yeah. He wins it. He goes to the front. There he is. But we picked out 3 horses in this barrier trial, and you'll see them. They get marked now.
There they are.
Yeah, and the second horse, Avro Lancaster, in the white colours, okay, with the orange cap. The 6th horse, Master of Destiny, and the 7th horse, Smart Socks. Now, Smart Socks is in the green and black. Master of Destiny is in the green colours. Now, this is how you read a barrier trial left, for those that don't know. The horse that runs second is the horse in the white colours with the orange cap. And you'll see it absolutely runs up to them. Got a lovely action, cruises up to them. The horse on the inside is being pushed. He's not being pushed at all. He's not even getting a hard shot. So the horse on the inside is under pressure to go with him. That has the run of the race. That's got now whip out. This horse wins absolutely hands and heels. And you'll see the horses that ran 6th and 7th. They come through there now, and they ran pretty good barrier trials. And I'll tell you why.
No, you got to tell me. You got me on this one.
Time was very fast. Calvary's very quick. 57 and a touch he did. These 2 horses that have run 6th and 7th both broke 60 seconds. Now, they never came off the bit to break 67s, which shows they've got ability. Because you'll see
what about horses in 3rd and 4th? And
well,
why did you jump
they were
to?
hard ridden, to be there. These horses were not ridden at all. Now, when a horse is not ridden, as you know, when you start pushing it out, you're going to find more. That's why I believe barrier trials, from the 400 to the finish, everything should be hands and heels ridden out to the finish line. Then you'll get a proper vision of the barrier trials. But obviously, having watched races all my life, these are the type of things that you end up picking up. I thought it was a very interesting barrier trial. And
just on barrier trials, if I can just add something here. Today, Sydney have their barrier trials. They start for the 2-year-olds. 11 heats today. Yes. All the big guns are bringing out their horses. There's a 1.4 million reduced choice running. And Brisbane have reintroduced their barrier trials to 2-year-olds starting this week as well, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Barrier trials are the future. Charles Fall has always been on this. Mm-hmm. They've got to be properly managed, and I think that the horses' weights have got to be tabulated so that you know what weight the horse ran the barrier trial in and what weight he races in, because weights are important. But
you mean the horse itself, not what he carries?
Yeah, no, the horse itself. And then the other thing is they need to be ridden hands and heels from the 400 to the finish. Then you'll get a good picture of them. But we enjoyed that barrier trial. We think there's horses to come out of it, and go back and have a look. And if you watch the head-on, you can go to the YouTube site and watch the head-on of the barrier trial. You'll see exactly what I mean. A couple of horses that we thought you should follow, never mind barrier trial horses. We went to Turfentine, and Sean Terry picked out one, had a runner for Lammerskral, Dynasty, 9 lengths. Let's go and pick it up at the start.
Yeah, this is called Sidoni, James. And this was most impressive. Supported, drawn 1, soon gets into the race, and the others are really battling to get near it. It went off at 21 to 20, so it was heavily supported, but wow, what a performance. Completely dictates the race and has, the Flower Season Celeste and Sports Tattoo. Gets them completely off the bit. Bear in mind, the horses are getting beat 30 lengths, 29 lengths, 20 lengths. So this was just a powerful performance by a beautifully bred horse.
Yeah, he's actually, she's actually, looks like she's very good. She's out of a Badgerland mare, Bardo. You remember her racing. And she's owned by the Lammerskral team. What was interesting was that there were horses with some form in this race, and they got absolutely smashed. A Flower Season, Michael Lazzie's Marchfield ran 4 lengths off them first time out, looked to be an improver. That's in the black.
That gets second, yeah, it's in fourth now.
That runs second. So you'll see their horses here. Bellevue had run 2 good races his last 2 starts. There are horses here that had some form. But this absolutely doddled it.
Yeah, this was, look at it. It's a big striding horse, and she's way too good. You know,
By Dynasty left, she's going to be.
Could be a
she's going to be
galloper.
much, much better when she goes. That's a tight little turn. She put them to bed. She won in a common canter. I thought that she looked like she really could be a very good filly.
Yeah, yeah.
We then go, after having a look at this lot, we go to Durbanville, and they raced on Saturday at Durbanville, and we saw a couple of horses that we thought that you should pick up there at Durbanville. We started with the first one, was Count Jack, Durbanville, around the bend. Let's go and pick this one up at the start.
Yeah, this is Count Jack, coming out of trap 5, so you can pick up the colours. And it eventually runs fourth, runs a very good race. It's Grant Brew and Brett Crawford. Your eventual winner is called Stop All the Clocks, moving up on the outside with the pink cap, going off to the front. The horse that I thought would win was Kilindini, who's sitting close up third there, James, and tackles the winner. James, Stop All the Clocks was a famous poem by W.H. Auden. You know that? Great poem, Stop All the Clocks, written in 1937.
And what was he trying to do? Was he trying to...
He's trying to tell you how life goes on. It was 4 weddings and a funeral. It was read there, but that's where the name is. Stop All the Clocks is your winner.
Justin Staith, Richard Fourie.
Yeah. And as I say, Count Jack, the one we found, has got a few lengths to find up. Stop All the Clocks is tackled by Kilindini, and you think the horse in the red's going on to win it. Stop All the Clocks shows great resolution.
Yeah, the horse we found has got the red cap and the red sleeves going right up the inside now. And so these two have got away from them. And you'll see Stop All the Clocks gets a smack there. And then really from here on doesn't get much to do. And there he gets another smack or two. And just keep showing him hands and heels, punch him out to the finish. He looks like a big improver. By Jackson out of a Dylan Thomas mare, bred by Highlands Farm, and trained by the Crawford team. We then move on to the same meeting, and we go and have a look at Durbanville again, and the Platinum team stepped out a good one.
Yeah, this is a good run as well, Jim. This is a horse called Quick Step Lady. Andre Nell trains it. It's drawn 1. It gets away well. And the pace is on. Caribbean Sunset, Trap Queen, Elusive Jade. They're all showing speed. Your winner looks a smartish horse too. It gets into the race. It's now in third. It might even have the earmuffs on. Is the winner Point of Sale for Glenn Cotts and a Greg Sheen, but beautifully placed. I thought this Quick Step Lady by young Mr. Andrews in the box seat third.
Yeah, absolutely. Grey filly. She doesn't know what it's all about when she turns for home, although she quickens up pretty well. And the filly that won it looked like a very, very good debut run, and came out and showed that it was absolutely good form, because it then got beaten by Montreal Mist in a feature, and I think it was a grade 2. So it had to win the maiden. It looked like the right horse here, Point of Sale. That comes up the middle with the earmuffs on. And this filly now almost hits the front with Anthony Andrews on. He has to just straighten her up. And just
she's smaller, James. If you look at there, the two on the outside are much bigger, especially the winner.
She's a Duke of Marmalade out of a Lizard Island mare, so that's proper Platinum breeding. And I thought she was game and resolute, and just probably needed the run. And I think that you'll probably find that she will go on and be a better filly with a little time, especially Duke of Marmalades. Right, we're going to look at the next one we got, which was a horse of Scottsville. Now watch this. This is Sunday's race meeting. So it's called Donetto, owned by Brian Bernard, trained by Mark Dixon. Watch us. Let's pick it up at the start.
Yeah, it doesn't know much about racing, this horse. And it's a bit tight at the gate, and the rider young Mr. Murray drops it in, and you'll see it as it gets a clearer picture. It's the pink cap at the back, and it's just miles out of the race. The winner here is a long-suffering maiden, Krishni's Jet, but it had the form lately. Krishni's Jet cruises up and wins comfortably. But have a look at this horse. It's last with the pink cap in Brian Bernard's colours, and probably 8 lengths off them, Jim, something like that.
Oh, it's miles behind. It's still last here. I think we're going through about the 600 now. And then Murray switches it out. It starts running past a few stragglers, but here you can see it behind the horse of the green, and it's got a sheepskin noseband on. And now it comes out, gives yours a bump there, which is not good for you. No, that doesn't help you. And then starts to run on, and runs on extremely well, this horse. And watch it run on. You still can't believe it's going to run second.
Yeah.
The winner's in front. Denetto, put this in your book. What a winter out of a mare called Rocky Beach by Fastnet Rock. Bred by Piedmont, by our men from Piedmont.
Scribo.
Yeah,
Scribanti
team.
Yeah.
And I think there's a nice horse. I thought he was a nice horse in the parade ring. His barrier trial wasn't too bad. He ran in a very, very strong barrier trial. There's winners come out of it.
He doesn't know much about what he's doing.
Well, he can. That barrier trial. So keep a close look on that one. And we think he will come up trumps. Now, the horse you should have had a bet on, we're going to have a look at now.
Then comes Exclusive Quantity, Social Order. Just outside the 200, Ultra Magnus still the leader. Desolate Road is on the outside, but Ultra Magnus continues on. Exclusive Quantity's trying to make a race of it down the inside, but Ultra Magnus still goes. Down the inside of that, Exclusive Quantity, and on the outside, Desolate Road. But Ultra Magnus will win it. Second, Desolate Road. Third to Exclusive Quantity.
Well, you're ever going to have a bet when you see Brian Macabarara come all the way from Zimbabwe to see a horse run, and Graham Hawkins was very, very positive on TV. They interviewed him. He said he thought that Brian hadn't come here for fun. This horse doddled up last time and won another good race. He looks like a good horse.
Yeah, very smart horse, and he won well the first time, I think, at Greyville. Yeah. He had the Ruland pair who were useful chasing him. So, no, I thought it was a very good win.
Yeah, and you could have got 15 to 10 on Interbet. At the death, he was even money on 9 to 10. This horse, you could go 12 to 10 on Interbet at any stage. Certainly worth having a bet on Interbet. And well done to Paul de Karma, who bred him. He's one of the better breeders around, Paul.
He's a good writer too. I read an article of his the other day.
He's a very good writer, yeah.
Very good writer.
Yeah, Paul, good guy for the industry. I've known him since he was a child. And he's always been passionate about it. He runs a Sugar Beach Hotel, I think, in Cape Town.
Does he?
He owns that operation. Sugar Beach.
We wish he owned the Sugar Beach in Mauritius.
Yeah, we wouldn't do the show so often.
No, that's right.
We'd be at Sugar Beach in Mauritius, but you could always go down to Sugar Beach in Cape Town and have a chat with Paul de Karma about racing. He loves his racing. He's pretty good on it. We got a couple of things that happened over the weekend. It looked like there's some pretty good things happening. Magic Millions, graduates, couple of graduates.
Oh yeah, one's mine, and I bought both of them.
Both of them you bought at the Adelaide sale. Now that's very interesting. You bought them both at the Adelaide sale, and we'll be talking about the Adelaide sale later, the Magic Millions Adelaide sale. And they turned out to be both pretty good horses, I think.
So Frenchie's won a few. Celebration Rock won a few more. He's won 3 already.
Yeah. No, he looks decent, Celebration Rock. And so Frenchie, well, I was there.
He's a Choisier.
Yeah, very, very nice Choisier. Racing wasn't so happy over the week at Happy Valley.
Racing.
There's Happy Valley. No racing at Happy Valley on Wednesday. And not because Grant van Niekerk had ridden into everyone else on the racetrack, or because Aldo de Meyer was leading the championship. Neither of those reasons was the reason. Or Tony Millard won too much money.
Is it still about those students writing or the people writing?
It's all about the riots there. So they decided not to have the race meeting at Happy Valley, which I find fascinating, that you can stop a race meeting. We've had lots of people try and stop our race meetings, but we keep going, don't we? We had the
crowds they get.
We had the chairs at Cosworth Park. Do you remember the chairs on the race course? It was my horse.
And the grooms a few months ago,
grooms
the 1200, the 400,
Gosforth Park was my horse, Willie Ace. I mean, what a joke the whole thing was. Right, let's go and have a look at our next clip and see what we've got now. I think it's, that's Eric Hamelbeck, okay? Eric Hamelbeck's the head of the Horseman Society in America.
Okay.
And they've been campaigning to get Lassex kept on race days. They think it's good for the horses, and the horses don't bleed as much, and it's more humane to race them on Lassex than not on Lassex. That's the American way. Now, what he's done is he's got 600 signatures, okay, from the Horsemen's Benevolent Association, including big players like Maggie Moss, some of those, the guys who own big farms have come forward and said that they want race day Lassex. Big trainers.
So, you know, just from a personal perspective, in this country we can't race with them, you know.
Yeah.
It's madness. It's just, in my opinion, because you've built up a cottage industry trying to use every other thing to try and get the peripheral blood pressure down, trying to have the diuretic effect that Lasix gives you. Go around the back when they're saddling.
Yeah.
Bleed. See them shaking.
Yeah.
Because they know they're going to bleed.
Yeah.
Some bleed badly, some don't bleed badly.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I've always been
poor horse,
100% in the
they
Lassex
say
camp.
it shouldn't be used. I'm just all for Lasix, and I hope Mr. What's his name, Druebeck,
Harenbeck.
he gets enough signatures to get it in place.
Right, they had the big derby in America, and Maximum Security, we were talking about him last week.
Yes.
He was going to...
he was going to challenge for money.
Gary West, 5 million with everyone, okay? Well...
Who pitched?
No, he didn't pitch.
I'll tell everyone, you can't be my horse next week, 10 grand, and then scratch it.
He did scratch it because the horse got a colic 3 days before the race.
Shame.
And had a severe impaction, and they're lucky that they didn't have to do surgery. And so he survived. And his trainer, Jason Service, young guy, must have been a hell of a blow. Anyway, the race was won by 30-1 shot.
Okay.
So, and not one of the horses that he challenged either. So that was Maximum Security. The big news from Australia is that our man Jeff Lloyd's son, and Jeff and Nicola Lloyd's son, there he is, cantering the path to the start. We couldn't get a footage of this film. I told Jeff to send it to me.
Where was it, Gold Coast?
Gold Coast, he won his first race. 1,400 meters, Jaden Lloyd.
Is that the horse's name or the sponsor's name?
No, I don't even know what the horse's name was. Trained by a guy called Rick Foyer, okay? And Jaden had his first winner, so he's on the map.
Fantastic.
They say he's got the monkey off his back because it took him 23 to get there. But they don't remember that it took Jeff 38 to get there. So, you know, it was quite hectic.
I'm pleased for the whole family. Wonderful.
Okay, and it's also in Australia. Chocolicious' foal by Fastnet Rock ran in a fillies Group 2. Thank you to our friend the Andrewses in Cape Town. They sent us all the information. We got a hive of informants.
That's what we need. That's what you need. You want the info coming from everywhere.
Giving us information.
Keep everyone up to speed.
We should send a few more pictures. You know, maybe we could put up a picture or two.
Yeah.
By Fastnet Rock, she ran second in the Group 3 at Newcastle. And so the Chocolicious keeps the flag flying for us.
Group 1 winner in South Africa.
Yeah.
Herman trained her.
A couple of other things. Newmarket Gold, they call it. They've formed a partnership, Newmarket Racecourse, with Tattersall's in England over the October sales time. And it's worth a fortune to both of them, which they've always worked in tandem, but they've now got a proper partnership going. And when you think that Tattersall's turn over 160 million guineas for their sales, it's a big, big industry, you know, and that's
they go
fantastic.
head-to-head with Goffs, don't they? Well, not head-to-head. They're Goffs are the big boys around from Ireland who do a couple of sales out there now.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. Talking about sales, Keeneland just finished their 13-day sale, biggest sale in the world. 13 days, 360 million. Okay, they averaged $126,000. Book one averaged $524,000. So $524,000 is what?
7-8 million.
8 million they averaged. Okay, 8 million rand. Just talking about horses, be good to your mother. Does that sound familiar?
Should be.
Anyone ever tell you to be good to your mother?
My father.
Yeah, well, that's right. So this guy was told to be good to his mother, and he named his horse Be Good to Your Mother. This horse the mother cost $600.
That's all.
This couple, a young couple, they worked for Vinery. They sold the yearling for $28,000 at Magic Millions Adelaide, funnily enough. That's where they sold it. And it's now won $600,000 by my boy Charlie. It's trained by a guy called Daniel Bowman, who's a young guy. Vinery produced it for the sale. So, very interesting story. It's a big name in Australia, Be Good to Your Mother. And he named it Be Good to Your Mother because whenever he asked his brother for a tip, and they're obviously to a horse racing tip because they're a horse racing mad family, he said, Be good to your mother. So he called us My Boy Charlie, Be Good to Your Mother. Won $600,000.
Fantastic.
That's a feel-good story.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we've got some more feel-good stories because we're going to be chatting to
Marshall, Steve Marshall and Devin Heifer.
Yeah, well, we hope you enjoy the interview with Steve and Devin. It's quite informative. We'll tell you what's going on in Gold Circle's region with their partnership with Hollywood Bets. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Hi, and two interesting guys we've got here to talk to today in your call. From a Gold Circle perspective, wonderful to have them both in. And we've got Steve Marshall, who runs the marketing and events for Gold Circle. And we've got Devin Heifer, who's in charge of communications and branding for Hollywood Bets. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Lev.
Right, the reason we're in here today is that things are growing between Gold Circle and, of course, Hollywood Bets. And a few months back, we announced the 10 million over 3 years, which, Devin, I'll bring it to you first. Wonderful.
Oh, thanks, Lev. Yeah, no, I mean, we're having a lot of fun. We're working really well with the Gold Circle team. It's a partnership that's proving to be very fruitful for racing KZN.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Steve, you guys have now sat with them again and you've got them to stretch their budget. So over 3 years, it's now gone to, let me get this right, 14.5 million.
That's correct, Paul, yeah.
Okay, tell me how you managed to get 4.5 more million.
Obviously, we've been meeting with the Hollywood guys in the time that obviously this partnership has started, and throwing some ideas around. One of the things which Owen Heifer, who's obviously one of the major shareholders in Hollywood Bets, one of the things that he was always very passionate about was the coloured number cloths, the saddle cloths, and as you've seen in the past couple of months, they've been used in the last race, which has been the Hollywood Bets Bright Future races, and the idea was to try and stretch this across all the races to get that image and something different throughout the races, and not just in the last race of the day. So what we did was Hollywood have committed 1.5 million rand per year extra onto that course naming rights. And R1 million of that we've allocated to this saddlecloth sponsorship, and then the extra 500,000 rand Gold Circle has decided to match that. And another thing which Hollywood have been very eager to get involved with Gold Circle is on the CSI projects. Yeah. So together we've put R1 million together for the plus minus 1,000 races which Gold Circle put on every year. And 1,000 rand will be going to each winning groom of every race in KZN going forward from the 1st of October.
Dev, is this one of the old man's initiatives? Because he likes the colours thing. You know, he people don't realise how much he travels. He's always off to race meetings around the world, and the Breeders' Cup's one of his favourites. Did he come with this idea?
Yeah, I mean, he's been going to Breeders' Cup, I think this year is going to be his 23rd year going.
Has he ever taken you?
Yeah, I've gone a few times. I've been lucky enough. But yeah, you know, he enjoys it. I mean, it's, you know, the way racing is done in America is absolutely fantastic. And the coloured saddle cloths, just being able to identify your horse, as opposed from not knowing the silks. You can see it stand out, it's really bright. And using this initiative, it's about, making racing more available to the public that don't normally follow racing. So if you can't identify the silks, maybe at least you can identify the saddle cloths. In the parade ring, we're going to have the grooms wearing matching gear to the saddle cloths. So
bibs.
Yeah, the bibs, yeah. So the more that we're exposing, the numbers and making it easier for the general public to follow the horses, the better. So they're going to be wearing armbands as well as the saddle. The jockey's going to be wearing armbands, which would be really great to hear that they've agreed to. And then obviously the coloured saddle cloths. With the numbers as well, it's a standard procedure. Every number is the same colour for every race. So for instance, red will always be, number 1 will always be red with the white 1, 7 will always be orange with the black 7. So it's one of those things. If you only follow racing, you only like following your lucky numbers, for instance, as some people do, or now you can follow your favorite color. So, it's just the way things are going these days. You're competing a lot.
Internationally now, there are a lot of people starting to throw these coloured cloths.
I was watching Kempton racing the other night, and they were using the coloured saddle cloths as well. I know for harness racing, it's used extensively. Even greyhound racing is used
Greyhound number 1's always red.
Yeah, that's it.
Greyhounds always. So you follow that. And the American trend and the South American trend of using saddle cloths, are you using the same numbers as them?
Correct. Yeah.
So it's uniform.
It's uniform around the world, which also helps with, putting forward KZN racing around the world. Now it's becoming standard. So anyone who's watching in England, America, Australia can see what's going on and they can follow it easily.
When's that going to start, Dev?
From the 1st of October. So
pretty soon.
Pretty
soon. You guys are supplying everything?
Yeah. So we worked with Gold Circle in terms of getting the saddle cloths made and everything. And so for every race day, obviously not the excluded race days, but every race day we're going to have those coloured saddle cloths.
Excellent. Now, Steve?
I think it's a differentiator, Paul. I think that's what one of the things that Gold Circle really likes is that we're not expecting this to be suddenly an attraction for people to come to the course, but it differentiates the product that we're putting out there with the rest of the country, and people can identify just one aspect of KZN racing. And obviously this isn't the last thing that we're looking to do. As I said, we're collaborating quite closely with the Hollywood team to find these different differentiators that we can put out there to really distinguish KZN racing.
You're right. Now, the Grooms Initiative, I think, is a wonderful idea, because when you think of it, you come down, you own this fabulous racehorse, and you get down there, you pat it, and it leaves the winner's box, and you don't see it until you go racing again. That groom's with the horse all the time. He knows that horse knows that groom, and the groom's doing all the work. And I believe you guys, especially at Gold Circle, are pushing with Hollywood Bets to get the names of the grooms in the race card.
Yeah, it's as you said. Sometimes I don't think the grooms get the kudos that they probably deserve. As you know, as you as a trainer, grooming a horse is not just about cleaning it, washing it down, and putting it back in its box with food and water. No. Part of that is the rubber curry comb is actually giving it a sports massage, getting rid of that lactic acid. There's a lot that goes into grooming a horse and getting it ready for a race day. This is just a little initiative which together we think gives a little bit back to the grooms who without them, the show doesn't go
place,
on.
And then you've got the situation of paying them the extra money. Where did this come from, Deb? Where did you settle on a figure?
Yeah, well, the thing is, with every race day, you're going to have different stakes, and I know there's a certain stakes percentage that goes to the groom. So we wanted to have something standard, something that was for every race, whether it's a maiden plate or if it's a handicap. So the grooms have got it guaranteed. They know what's coming. Yes. I think that's the whole thing about being transparent about this whole thing as well, is making sure that the grooms know what's going to be available to them. And as you said, as Steve mentioned, there's R1 million being put back into the grooms, from Gold Circle and Hollywood Bets perspective. And I just think this whole thing is good for racing. It's showing that KZN racing is becoming that destination, not just for punters, but for trainers, for grooms. Everyone is going to want to race here because they know what's at stake.
Yeah, absolutely. And
the rest of the sponsorship, obviously, with Gold Circle's model, everything goes back into the game. The reason we're here is to sustain the sport of horse racing in KZN. So obviously the naming rights sponsorship, the saddle cloth sponsorship, that's going into the game. It's going into stakes, it's going into running of racing. This year is ring fenced and it's for the grooms specifically.
Okay,
So
it'll go in the race car. Will it go in winning form?
Yeah, that's the goal, is to get the grooms' names in there. We want to make sure that they start getting the exposure like the trainers, jockeys, and
Yes,
breeders
of
do.
course,
And as a punter or someone who's following racing, sometimes if you see a groom that you associate with a certain horse, you're going to be following the other horses associated with that same groom.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful news, guys. Anything else in the pipeline? Anything hot off the press?
Jeez, I think, as Steve said earlier, we're trying to put as much back into racing as possible, and sometimes it's just the basics you have to start with, that things that are already there that, just to give more exposure to. And I think the biggest thing is getting information out to the public, getting people more aware of racing in KZN, whether it's at Hollybets Greyville, Hollybets Scottsville. We want to get people back down to the track. It's really exciting that Hollywood Bets was on course yesterday for the first time ever. It's at Hollybets Scottsville. They're going to be on course now at Hollybets Greyville on Wednesday, and going forward, we've got our Hollywood Bunny Chows here now as well.
That's right,
we had our first
all the
day.
boys eat them in the box. I saw.
But now the public will have it. It'll be selling in the Lightning Shot Bar every race meeting. So, there's little things that, if we can add value where we can, we want to make this place attractive, and I think another thing Steve was going to maybe speak about is the pushing of the Friday night race meetings. I think, making it that the first Friday and final Friday, making it, kind of a thing that rolls off the tongue. Like you got first Thursdays in Cape Town.
Yeah.
You want first Fridays, there's racing at Greyville, get down there. It's going to be festive.
And Devin, you guys have got a lot of horses now. James is doing a great job. James Everett, and he brings up the troops. Whenever you have a runner, you've got a lot of horses now if you look at the race books and that. But I really think it's a wonderful setup you've got on that side of it too. That's well orchestrated by James, and it's also pleasing that you're putting your money back.
No, for sure. I mean, it's another avenue Hollywood Bets is putting money back into horse racing. I mean, we've got 74 horses now that we've purchased over the last 2.5 years. And, James is doing a great job. He's at every sales. The accountants aren't too happy, but it's good for horse racing. I mean, at the moment, there's 28 that are currently running and in training. But it's going to be really exciting next year and a half, once the yearlings start coming through and the babies start racing. But, it's just another avenue. We want people following our horses. We give them as much exposure. We share the trainer comments. We share your videos that you send through to us. We had Mighty Smart running yesterday. We're hoping he'll get the maidens eventually.
Yeah, he's only 3.
Yeah, he's only a baby.
3.
But it's been fantastic, and I mean, just with our team, exposing more people to horse racing. We've had a lot of team members who are clerks with horse racing that had never been to a track before. Yeah. But now, over the last year and a half, every race meeting, we've got different people coming to the track, getting to experience the parade ring, meeting the trainers, meeting the jockeys. And everything like that has a knock-on effect. Eventually they start bringing their families down to racing, and we start growing the sport.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I can only say it's good news for the public to hear you two talk. Wonderful. Thanks very much to both of you. And anytime there's new initiatives, we're waiting for you. Thanks very much, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Laf.
There we go. Nice to talk to the two boys. And let's hope there's more to come from them.
Hi, I'm Gary Peel, one of the co-founders and executive directors of Interbet. Interbet are the pioneers of online betting in South Africa, having started way back in the year 2000. Our mission is to continue to lead the pack in providing cutting-edge technology in the online horse racing and sports betting space. Our platform remains unique in the context of being a service provider to B2B and B2P. Our aim is to make the site as user-friendly and entertaining as possible, so it appeals to a wide spectrum of target audiences. We strive to provide as much information as possible and to give our punters the very best odds, so the experience is always interactive and enjoyable.